So as you can see, I've moved the CZ to underneath the lean-to, which means I can get out here in all weathers now, do some work on it. Just trying to sort out some of the little jobs while the electrics box has been painted. It's actually painted now, I'm just waiting for the paint to dry. Thought I'd put the foot pegs on, and once again, whoever had previously modified this bike has been bodging. So you can tell when something's not quite right. When the bolts are not the original ones, it's got different length shanks, and also the holes for them, it's both for an M8 bolt, not an M6 bolt. So these pegs were really slack. They're still quite slack because I don't think they're the right ones for the bike. The brackets are, but these, yeah, still not happy with that. So further work will be required. I also got around to changing the fuel tap. The fuel line had perished because it's not actual fuel line, it's probably a breather of some sort, but it's not petrol resistant, that's for sure, because it perished. And as I said previously, the fuel tap was actually a gas valve. And in fact, it's even got a PCL connector on it for compressed air. I have no idea what this is, but that is not 1/4 inch BSP thread, which is what this should take. So even though it tightens up, it's a bit slack. So that's going to be made to fit there. Luckily that thread there was the same as the one for the tap, so I fitted the new tap, so hopefully it's not going to leak. Okay, so while I was taking out this kind of abomination of a fuel tap out, I noticed there's no filter on the end of it because this isn't a proper fuel tap, and that was completely blocked with God knows what. So it only took a little bit of a read of the tea leaves, so to speak, to see that there was quite a lot of debris in the fuel. And also this is quite a rich oil mixture as well for a two-stroke. So I think it was probably done by eye rather than using a proper measuring jug. Anyway, looking at the state of that fuel, so let's take that off. It's also got an enamel carburetor as well on it, which again, be very surprised if that is original. Luckily these carburetors, there's actually a filter as part of this kind of banjo fit in here. You can also drain the fuel out there, which is I'll probably do right now. Oh, there was some in there. So look at that little filter behind there. See if that managed to catch any of the debris. Look at that. That is not good. That's why you need to have a filter in the tank as well as on the carburetor. This is actually all metal filings. And I suspect that has come from this, where it's essentially been made to fit where it's not supposed to. So yeah, that is going to need washing out. There's only a little bit in there, which is the one off the bottom of the carburetor, so I think it's managed to save it a little bit, but that is full of it. Okay, so out of curiosity, I look at the manual to see what the carburetor should look like, and it's a Jikov one, not an Amel, and the float bowl is to the side of it, not underneath. So possibly it has been changed. The manual is 1991 edition, the bike is a 1991, according to the plate on the headstock. Next job is sorting out the electrics, which is going to be brilliant because the manual that I downloaded off the internet doesn't have any wiring diagrams in it. It's purely for the mechanical side of the engine, the fuel, the engine itself, and the front forks. Nothing electrical in there whatsoever. So I work out what all these wires do. And the one thing that's got me slightly kind of baffled is the amount of ring terminals there are on these white wires. Now, ring terminals usually suggest that they are earth wires, but there's a lot of them. And white is not a common colour for earth. I'm pretty sure this is an original wiring loom. I'm going to take this headlamp off to find out what's going on in here, because you watched the very first introduction video on this bike, I mentioned that all the electrics are underneath it, not inside it. Well, there's your problem right there. Look at that. So these green wires are obviously going to be the earth because they're joined together, which means they don't follow the same color code as the rest of the bike. The blue and the white is going to be your dipped in your main beam. That brown is going to be the side light. So I expect this is some kind of aftermarket headlight. So yeah, there should be like a multi-plug that goes in there. So what I have to work out is where those spade connectors go in. We've got yellow, grey, brown, possibly a white. A little slight concern is that there's a brown wire there that is split. Feels like it's got hot. You can see there the insulation is melted, so that has got hot and it's cracked. Again, I have to check the wattage on that bulb to see if when it was working it was the right one and it wasn't drawing too much current possibly. That connector there is not good either. I'm testing the wires that come back from the light switch up there. Now I know from the flash unit here, the grey feed wire is the one that goes up to the light switch. The blue one is the switched live coming in. I know that because everything else that's switched live is blue, and the green goes up to the telltale light up there, although it's currently missing, so it doesn't actually go anywhere. So if I put that in there, which I presume is where one of the front indicators go, and then touch that on there. So that's right. If I touch it to the other one, that should be the left indicator. And then off. So that means that this yellow wire here is the right indicator, and the green and yellow is the left indicator. I thought I'd show you a little bit closer with this because this is important. Now, even though I've established that this is a factory wire and loom, they've also reused this green-yellow wire here as the feed for the headlights. So that plugs in there. But again, rather confusingly, that just plugs into a solid green wire, the same colour as the one that is used for the indicator telltale. Now, the brown wire coming down, the one that was melted, that's your main beam, because it goes up to also splits to a main beam warning light, although it doesn't work because the earth wire is missing. And the grey is the dipped, which means the yellow, again, which has already been used for one of the indicator circuits, is the pilot light, and I presume it's also going to be used for the tail light. And the white, as we've already established, is an earth. So that's all those electrics sorted out. We can then figure out what's going on at the other end of the bike. Okay, so as you can see, the battery box has now appeared. And that's because it's over a week later. But for continuity purposes, I'm wearing the same t-shirt and shorts, although they have been cleaned. Also that's still the same is the wiring color codes match what's up at the front behind the headlight. So I can say with some confidence that those two wires there are for the indicators. That wire there is for the tail light. That one is, I believe, for the brake light, probably that one there actually. Again, we've got reds being used for two different circuits. Yeah, that's the brake light. Blue is the power going to it, red is the feed back from it. And you've also got all these whites we've said before are earths, and that there is the fuse in it is going to have like the positive switched feeds to various circuits. So my next job is to put all that in there, but that's going to have to wait for another video, I think. So anyway, if you enjoyed the video, remember to please like and subscribe, and take care. I'll see you again soon.